I'm Stephen Henderson with Detroit Public Television. Every 10 years, the United States conducts a census to collect population data that's used to drive future decisions related to federal funding allocations for education programs, law enforcement, highways and roads, and many, many other federally financed activities and programs. The next survey will, of course, be taken in the year 2020. But there's a lot of work to be done now to make sure that Michigan has a complete and accurate count. Joining me now to talk about a new public-private partnership working on this issue is Donna Murray-Brown. She is the president and CEO of Michigan Nonprofit Association, and Hassan Jaber, who is the executive director of Access. Welcome to my wake.
Thank you.
Yeah. So 3 years away, 2 years away.
2 years away.
The idea that you've got to start early is really important for every community, but it's especially important for places like Detroit because of the challenges that I feel like we have in getting people to know that it's census year, to get it, to fill it out, and send it back.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that we find is that the communication piece about why it's so important is something we have to get out of. We had our druthers, as you said, it's just 2 years away. We probably would have started maybe even 3 years ago to really be able to ramp up the education piece of it also. And also because people are concerned, is my information safe? When I fill out
that's a question that's taking on a really different tone now than it would have 10 years ago. I mean, you think of the difference in what the internet looks like today. And in 2008 or 1998, people have a legitimate reason to be concerned about those things, and we don't want that to be a reason that somebody says, "Well, I'm not going to participate."
I think you're absolutely right that we have now new challenges that we have to answer to, including the fact that the Census Bureau is trying to collect digital information and the issue of cybersecurity, the issue of privacy, the issue of confidentiality became a major issue for us this year. And you take this with this political climate that we now living in, the challenge is how to make sure that the community is comfortable and engaged. And who are the trusted voices that carry the message regarding the census. We're hoping that this coalition becomes part of these trusted voices. And we try to engage in a meaningful conversation with the community about the need for accurate count. And secondly, answer the questions regarding privacy and confidentiality.
The concern, of course, is undercount, right? That we have more people who need the services that are determined through the census than filling out. I'd like each of you to talk about the nature of that undercount and the consequences of that undercount in your communities. Let's start with you.
We are seriously concerned about the hard-to-count communities, especially children under 5, native populations, immigrant populations, homeless populations. Minorities tend to be more undercount than other communities. So we want to focus on these communities, and the stake is truly high for us. 40% of state budget funding some critical programs like Medicare, Medicaid, housing, public schools, education. 40% are based on
it's determined by the census.
Determined by the census.
The poverty aspect of this is particularly acute in Detroit.
It is. In Detroit, thinking about affordable housing, thinking about food programs, a lot of things, major things that people in the city of Detroit in particular really need and care about. And so looking at community-based organizations who are particularly unique in connecting with people living in the community are the best ways to get that message to them to say this is really, really important. And by the way, if you're not counted, this could really impact and impede our ability to be able to provide you services.
Yeah. There is, of course, always a political narrative that surrounds the census. It seems like we started that early this year too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like it's really ramped up. Do you feel like there is a concerted effort to try to make sure some people can't get counted? I mean, that may be too cynical an interpretation of what's going on, but some of the things that have been suggested really are disincentive.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is a barrier. That's something that we've been concerned about, really, in terms of the citizenship question.
Right.
One. I mean, as benign as the census is, just to be counted, now it's highly politicized, and people are, quite frankly, in several communities, are fearful about what does this mean if we, we fill out this document. But the reality of it is, and one of the things that Hassan and I are really interested in sharing this message is to be silent. Not to be counted is to be silent.
Yeah, right.
And to be invisible. And so it's important for these communities to be visible because they're important. And this is really their first on-ramp to civil society. Next thing is voting and really empowering themselves and their communities. And this is one of the first steps to do that. So really, really important, no matter what the barriers are.
Yeah. The community you serve at Access, again, seems to be on the bad end of some of the policy initiatives that are being suggested.
This is a very serious concern. And it's going to take the effort of all of us talking to each other. Unfortunately, the narrative coming from the Trump administration is making this conversation harder and harder.
Yeah.
When you talk about Mexicans as criminals, when you target Muslim communities with bans and all kinds of negative narratives, when this whole race issue is coming back, we need to make sure that reasonable voices is engaged, and that we take the conversation to where the benefit of the community and why in Michigan we need to do a better job counting everyone.
Yeah, and one of the reasons to start early is because getting that message to the people who might be marginalized by the census is difficult because they're marginalized already.
Absolutely. And just keep in mind, too, while the social impact sector is working together, it's really augmenting the work of the federal government and the state government to actually count people. So this is a concerted effort. It's all of us working together to be able to get a complete count. We know that we as a nonprofit sector can offer telling the message like no other one of the members of the three sectors can do. So this is something we feel particularly strong about. It's something that we feel that we are positioned nicely to do. So we're augmenting a process that already exists.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for being here. Congratulations on the work. Again, I don't think anyone's thinking about the census, but the point is they should be.
That's right. Absolutely.
It shows an excellent leader for this effort.
Yeah. Okay. Donna, Hassan, thank you for being here on My Way.
Thank you.